In the bustling heart of New York City, where skyscrapers pierced the cloudy sky like silver needles, a small diner named Sunny Side Up sat quietly on a corner street. It was one of those places where the coffee was always hot, the pancakes fluffy, and the air smelled of fresh bacon and maple syrup. The morning light filtered through the large windows, casting a warm glow on the checkered tablecloths. Outside, the city hummed with the rush of taxis and pedestrians, but inside, time seemed to slow down, offering a brief escape from the chaos. Michael Thompson, a tall man in his late 30s with sharp features and a tailored suit, sat at a booth near the window. He was the CEO of a thriving tech company, the kind that made headlines for innovative apps and billion-dollar deals. But today, he wasn't thinking about board meetings or stock prices. His mind was on his 5-year-old daughter, Emily, who sat across from him, her small legs swinging under the table. Emily had curly brown hair tied in pigtails, big blue eyes that sparkled with curiosity, and a pink dress dotted with tiny flowers. She clutched a stuffed bunny named Hopper, her constant companion since her mother had passed away 2 years ago in a sudden car accident. Michael sipped his black coffee, glancing at his watch. It was 8:15 a.m., and he had a meeting at 9 o'clock. But mornings like this were precious a time just for him and Emily before he dropped her off at kindergarten. "What do you want for breakfast, sweetie?" he asked, his voice soft and steady, like the anchor he tried to be for her. Emily looked up from coloring on her placemat, her crayon pausing mid-stroke. "Pancakes with strawberries, Daddy, and whipped cream on top." She smiled, but there was a hint of sadness in her eyes, the kind that came and went like clouds on a sunny day. The waitress approached their table with a warm smile. Her name tag read Sarah, and she had a gentle face framed by straight blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail. Sarah was in her mid-20s, with kind green eyes and a uniform that was spotless despite the morning rush. She worked double shifts to pay for night classes and nursing, dreaming of a life where she could help people heal. "Good morning. What can I get for you folks?" she said, her voice light and friendly, like a gentle breeze. Michael ordered quickly eggs over easy for himself, pancakes for Emily. As Sarah wrote it down, Emily tugged at her father's sleeve. "Daddy, she's pretty, like Mommy was." Michael's heart tightened, but he nodded, forcing a smile. Sarah overheard and chuckled softly. "Well, thank you, little one. That's the nicest thing anyone said to me all week." As Sarah walked away to place the order, Emily watched her with wide eyes. The diner was filling up now, with regulars chatting over newspapers and families laughing together. The clink of silverware and the sizzle from the kitchen created a comforting rhythm. Michael pulled out his phone to check emails, but Emily's small hand reached across the table. "Daddy, do you think Sarah could be my mommy?" Michael froze, his phone slipping slightly in his grip. The words hung in the air like a delicate bubble, ready to pop. He looked at his daughter, her innocent face so full of hope. "Emily, honey, Sarah's our waitress. She's nice, but we can't just ask someone to be your mommy." His voice was calm, but inside, a storm brewed. How could he explain loss to a child who still expected the world to make sense? Emily pouted, her lower lip trembling. "But Mommy's gone, and I need one." Sarah smiles like Mommy did. "Please, Daddy." She glanced toward the counter where Sarah was pouring coffee for another customer, her movements graceful and unhurried. Michael took a deep breath, the scent of brewing coffee grounding him. He remembered the nights after his wife, Laura, died holding Emily as she cried, wondering how to fill the void. He had thrown himself into work, building his company into an empire, but it left little room for anything else. Dating? The thought made him uneasy. He was a single dad, a CEO, a man still grieving. But Emily's words pierced him, revealing the hole in their lives he tried to ignore. Sarah returned with their plates, steam rising from the food like morning mist. "Here you go, pancakes with extra strawberries for the princess, and eggs for you, sir." She set them down carefully, noticing Emily's intense stare. "Everything okay, sweetie?" Emily looked up, her eyes shining with determination. Before Michael could intervene, she blurted out, "Can you be my mommy?" The words echoed softly in the diner, time seeming to stretch. Sarah's smile faltered for a split second, her cheeks flushing pink. Michael froze, his fork hovering over his plate, heat rising to his face. The nearby tables fell quiet, as if the whole room held its breath. Sarah knelt down to Emily's level, her voice gentle and measured. "Oh, honey, that's such a sweet thing to ask, but being a mommy is a big job. Why do you want me to be yours?" She glanced at Michael, who sat rigid, his mind racing. He wanted to apologize, to explain, but words escaped him. Emily fiddled with Hopper's ear, her voice small. "Because my real mommy went to heaven, and daddy's always busy with work. You make me feel happy, like when you brought the pancakes." Tears welled in her eyes, and Michael's heart ached. He reached for her hand, but she pulled away slightly, focused on Sarah. The diner resumed its hum, the coffee machine gurgling, plates clattering. But for Michael, everything narrowed to this moment. He had built walls around his emotions, focusing on providing for Emily materially. His company, Thompson Tech, demanded long hours, international calls at midnight, decisions that affected thousands. But here, in this simple diner, his daughter's plea exposed the cracks. Was he failing her? The thought twisted like a knife. Sarah nodded thoughtfully, her expression warm and understanding. "I see. Losing your mommy must be really hard. You're a brave girl for talking about it." She looked at Michael again, her eyes meeting his. There was no judgment, just empathy. "Maybe we can talk more after my shift. I'm off in an hour." Michael blinked, unfreezing slowly. I'm sorry about this." She misses her mom." His voice cracked slightly, the CEO facade slipping. Sarah stood up, touching Emily's shoulder lightly. "No need to apologize. Kids say what's in their hearts. Enjoy your breakfast. It's on me today." She walked away, but not before giving Michael a small, encouraging smile. As they ate, the tension lingered like a fog. Emily picked at her pancakes, her earlier excitement dimmed. Michael watched her, memories flooding back. Laura's laughter, her hand in his during walks in Central Park, the way she sang lullabies to Emily. The accident had stolen that life in an instant. A rainy night, a skidding car. He had vowed to be enough for Emily, but now doubt crept in. "Daddy, are you mad?" Emily asked, her voice tentative. He shook his head, setting down his fork. "No, sweetie, I'm just surprised. I love you more than anything, but finding a new mommy, it's not that simple." He paused, the words heavy. The diner felt warmer now, the sun higher in the sky, casting long shadows across the floor. Emily nodded, but her eyes drifted back to Sarah, who was chatting with an elderly couple at another table. Michael paid the bill quietly, leaving a generous tip. As they gathered their things, Sarah approached again. "Hey, before you go, here's my number." She handed Michael a slip of paper. "If you ever need a babysitter or just someone to talk to." "No pressure." Michael took it, his fingers brushing hers briefly. "Thank you, really." Emily hugged Sarah's leg impulsively. "Bye, maybe mommy." Sarah laughed softly, ruffling her hair. "Bye, cutie. Be good for your dad." Outside, the city noise enveloped them, the honk of horns, the chatter of passers-by. Michael held Emily's hand as they walked to his sleek black SUV. "That was nice of Sarah," he said, trying to sound casual. Emily skipped a step. "Yeah." "Can we come back tomorrow?" He smiled faintly. "Maybe." But as he buckled her into her car seat, his mind whirled. The slip of paper burned in his pocket. Was this a sign? He had avoided connections, fearing more loss. But Emily needed more than a busy dad. She needed warmth, stability, perhaps even a family again. The drive to kindergarten was quiet, the radio playing soft jazz. Michael dropped Emily off, watching her wave from the door. Then, alone in his office high above the city, he stared at the number. His assistant buzzed in about the meeting, but he held up a hand. For the first time in years, work could wait. That evening, after picking up Emily, Michael sat on their apartment couch, the city lights twinkling outside like stars. Emily played with her toys, humming a tune. He pulled out his phone and texted Sarah, "Hi, this is Michael from the diner. Thanks again for today. Emily hasn't stopped talking about you." Her reply came quickly, "Hey, she's adorable. Glad I could help. Coffee sometime." He hesitated, then typed, "I'd like that." Weeks passed slowly, like pages turning in a well-loved book. Michael and Sarah met for coffee, then lunch, then a walk in the park with Emily. Sarah shared her dreams of nursing, her own loss as a brother to illness, pushing her to help others. Michael opened up about Laura, the grief that still lingered like a shadow. Their conversations flowed easily, building a bridge over the gaps in their lives. One crisp autumn day, in the same diner where it began, Emily sat between them, coloring happily. "Sarah, will you be my mommy now?" she asked again, but this time with a giggle. Sarah looked at Michael, her eyes sparkling. He nodded, his heart full. "If she'll have us," he said softly. Sarah smiled, tears glistening. "I'd love to." The three of them hugged, the diner fading into a warm blur. Michael realized that healing wasn't about forgetting, it was about opening up to new beginnings. Emily had sparked it with her innocent plea, thawing his frozen heart. As they left hand in hand, the city felt less overwhelming, more like home. Sometimes, the smallest voices lead to the biggest changes. If you're reading this, remember, it's okay to ask for what your heart needs. Reach out, you never know who might say yes.